Coming up on Bloom, how to live life with no filter and overcome perfectionism.
Realize there's no one standard of perfection. What are we all aiming for in terms of, these little details? There's not a perfect sandwich. A peanut butter jelly sandwich might kill somebody if they're allergic, and yet it could be the most delicious thing someone else has had.
And meet a dynamic woman stepping into an industry typically run by men, spirits. And Tampa's famous quadruplets are turning one, and you're invited to celebrate. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Today we're helping you live your life with no filter, and we're kicking things off with the self-esteem doctor, Dr. Simone Alicia, who has tips on overcoming perfectionism. It is so great to see you.
I'm excited about this one.
And actually, it ties into your new book, Through the Hard Times.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, which was definitely a challenging one to write, just because my perspectives on perfectionism is so different. And I'm like, should I share this? But I'm ready to share.
Yeah, and I'm glad you are, because you say that perfectionism is kind of directly tied to our self-esteem.
I do believe that, and I do believe that there's a higher level we're supposed to be looking at, because if we look at self-esteem as like the divine self, right, and then we consider perfectionism, shouldn't we look at it as a journey towards growth and love? And therefore it doesn't have to be this terrible competitive thing that we've made it out to be. I think that there are many journeys to our own versions of perfection, and we've kind of used this word to hold ourselves back. But generally speaking, if we love ourselves and are on this vision of growth or on this path of growth, I think we're going to find that perfectionism is not as scary as a thing that one might think.
You say that, there's that saying out there, nobody's perfect, but you believe in a way we are all perfect, and we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure by talking about the negativity of it, because you're trying to raise a bar that maybe you might not be ready to meet just right then.
Gosh, I love this so much, and I love that I'm finding my own courage in this conversation to have this talk. So I really think that when we're looking at this idea of perfection and we are saying, well, let's compete and whatnot, we're all perfect because we all have this ability in us to go for this growth and to love, right? The law of nature is growth. And so if we all say, listen, I'm here to grow, and I know that love, the divine law is also love. If I'm going to grow and live in love, then can't we all be pretty much on this perfect journey? And making mistakes is how we grow. So aren't making mistakes a part of this true, deep perfection? Why are we defining it in such a way that it's like nobody can meet this ideal that we're creating?
Or like you say, you feel as though like you can't make mistakes, and then when you do, and inevitably we all do, to what degree? I mean, for me, on a personal level, I've had, some pretty dark chapters in my life where I really messed up. And then I spent years beating myself, just beat down to where I limited my growth for so many years because I was so disappointed in myself.
Yes, and you know what, that's fair, because I want everyone to understand this is not a matter of excusing all of our behaviors and just acting like any negative thing that we do is perfect. The idea here is bigger than that. It's realizing that I have enough self-love and worth in me that when I make a mistake, because I will, because it's part of that divine journey, how am I going to grow if I don't make a mistake? But I have to love myself enough to grow from it, because if I make that mistake and then I stay stuck in those dark times like you're describing, it really holds us back from progress. But when we can take a different look at it and say, you know what, I had this dark moment, I had these mistakes, I'm not happy or proud of it, but I'm still deserving of moving forward, then we incorporate this idea of self-esteem and self-worth as we're trying to move through that dark period.
So tell us a little bit about the book. What's the takeaway? It looks like an easy read.
Oh yes, definitely. I love an easy read. Basically what we're talking about here is this concept of joining ourselves together as human beings that are not competing with each other and saying, okay, I'm perfect because of this and you're perfect because of that, right? We see that in social media, we see that with our looks and the shapes and the sizes and our employment, all the things we're competing. And we realize there's no one standard of perfection. What are we all aiming for in terms of these little details? There's not a perfect sandwich. A peanut butter jelly sandwich might kill somebody if they're allergic, and yet it could be the most delicious thing someone else has had. So for us to realize, I know with this silly example, but for us to realize that we need to get out of the little comparison zone and say all of us have all of the things inside to be essentially divinely perfect. We all can be on that journey of growth. We all can make the mistakes. We all can have coping and resilience skills to get through that. And that's what the book really is focusing on, letting us know, aren't we all perfect? Or what if we looked at it this way? How would that ease our soul and help us to progress through life?
How does spirituality play into all of this? Because I know that you're very in tune with yours as I am with mine.
Absolutely. So I think that's the big element, is that if we're looking at things from a spiritual angle, then we elevate to this next level. Then we say, okay, if we're looking at divine love, that's not competitive. If we're looking in that spiritual place, this is the law of love here we're talking about when it comes to spirituality. And that means that I'm not competing with you, and I'm not trying to be this ideal of perfect that other humans have set, like this is the right way to look or this is the right way to act. Instead, I'm going to go elevate that into a spiritual place and say, you know what? There is a divine love in me. I'm made in the image and likeness, and I can tap into that, and I can really live life on a different level if I use that as my guiding light.
And you realize if you bring yourself up to that level, the energy that you feel is pretty spectacular.
Absolutely, and many people are not familiar with it. So when you try to talk to certain people, they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? But when you're around the people who are living that same life and are aspiring to the same things and trying to grow in that direction, you get a lot of support, and you start to feel like, wow, there's a whole other side of life opening up to me, and it's powerful.
And you don't feel alone.
Absolutely.
All right.
And that's huge.
Dr. Simone Alicia, it's always such a pleasure to see you. Congratulations again on your book.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love being here.
All right, we're going to share Dr. Simone's advice on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this, so don't go away. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back. We're helping you live life with no filter. And when it comes to your relationships, being vulnerable is powerful and can help you connect in a deeper, more authentic way. Joining me now to explain is psychotherapist Dr. Gina Midyett. It is so great to see you.
Thank you. So great to see you as well.
So you say having a filter in a relationship is the worst thing we could do. We should come into it no filter.
It's the worst thing because the top things that we need in a relationship is trust, open communication and honesty, and respect. So if you filter yourself, you're not giving that to your partner.
So we should be telling them in a calm, collected way how we're feeling at all times, because by not saying something, that's when things really start to build.
It does, and then we build resentment for our partner. So if you're not expressing what you're really feeling or concerns that you have, eventually it's going to come out in a really, really bad way.
And we want it to stay authentic.
Absolutely. And what's really important too is create that safety. The other person needs to create that safety, because I think the reason we don't want to be authentic or to be able to express ourselves is that it's a fear. We're scared we're going to be shamed or we're going to get in trouble. So it's just that safety.
Transparency is also important. How does that play into it when you're communicating with your partner?
Yeah, so transparency is very important, because if you filter things, if you're not being honest with the other person, then you're not living your authentic self. And the number one reason you become depressed and you become resentful is when you're not being who you truly are.
And then resolving conflict, because I think a lot of times you think you're communicating something, you think you're reaching that person, but you can stalemate at times. What causes that?
So what causes that is that you think you're resolving conflict. So let's just say you start the conversation like, okay, I'm having issues with finances, for example, but the other person shuts you down. So now you don't talk about it anymore. You do that fight or flight. So either you're going to fight with them or you're going to run away, and you never talk about it again. So now it's going to build up and build up, and you're going to get triggered. So every time something triggers you in respect to that conflict, you're going to react in a negative way.
What if as a couple you can't come to terms with how to handle something? Like, let's say, for example, there's some kind of family conflict and you feel it should be handled one way, and your spouse or partner feels it should be handled another way, and you can't, and nothing gets resolved.
Right, so that's where you have to have compromise, which is the hardest thing in a relationship, because our egos get involved too, where I'm right and the other person thinks they're right. But as a couple, you have to learn to compromise. Okay, I'm going to give in as long as you give in too. So how can we make this work for both of us? And if you really can't resolve it, go to therapy, find someone to mediate with you guys, because sometimes you just need that third person to help see the other perspective.
And then that person's not there to take sides.
No.
That person is there to help you navigate.
Right, because our ego and our emotions are involved, so it's hard for us to see a different perspective when we're emotional about it. So if a third person's involved, they can help navigate that and help you see a different perspective.
Now, once you start to create emotional intimacy and becoming more vulnerable, I should say, in your relationship, what kind of changes would you expect to see in your relationship?
Oh gosh, everything. Even physical intimacy gets better, because even though that's like I said, physical thing, it's emotional and mental as well. So if you're in a great place emotionally and mentally with each other, your physical life will be amazing.
So now, right now we're talking about no filter when it comes to relationships that are established. But in the beginning stages of a relationship, how much filter should there be?
Oh, that's a great question, because I get that all the time. Like, am I supposed to tell them, how many people I've been with, all these things? Then no, I think in the beginning it's about getting to know each other and just monitor that. I don't think you need to just spill out your guts on the first date. I think that can backfire on you as well, because you have to establish some kind of relationship with each other. If you just meet someone, they're telling you everything, you're going to view them very differently.
Okay, so you should be waiting till you feel like there's some kind of connection, that you're seeing more dates coming in. Like, when is the time to start being honest about your feelings?
I think when you start feeling like, okay, I really like this person, I want to take it to the next level, I want to have an actual relationship with them, then you start slowly opening up about your past and about things that are a little bit more intimate, because you want to kind of have that love or that connection with someone so that they can give you that chance. They don't see you as, oh wow, you're really tainted or you have a lot of baggage. It's more like, well, I really like you, but I'm willing to work with that with you.
Any other advice that you give to your patients when it comes to transparency, communication, and not living a life in a relationship with no filter?
Yeah, I think the main thing is safety and security. So that's the top thing in a relationship. So what I say is both of you really need to listen to each other with no judgment, because if you can't be open, if the other person makes you feel unsafe and you can't talk to them, they're not going to be open. And then if they're not open, you're going to resent them. So it's a never-ending cycle. So I would say just safety, create that safe space, and don't have any judgments towards each other.
And I'm sure too, when you're having these conversations, do not start having these conversations when you're at a heightened state. You need to be on a level playing field where emotions are dialed down.
Especially if it's an important topic, I would say you need to schedule that time. Make sure it's a time when you guys aren't stressed out of work. If it's a big life change topic, schedule that time to talk to each other when you're both calm.
All right, Dr. Gina, as always, thank you so much.
Of course, you're very welcome.
And we're going to share Dr. Gina Vignette's story on BloomTampaBay.com. And when we come back, top clinical psychologist Dr. Carlos Garcia shares how to face your mental health challenges with no filter.
For a lot of us, we grew up in environments or around messaging that told us that certain feelings weren't okay.
You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. We're back, helping you live life with no filter. And our next guest says the power of transparency is critical when it comes to your mental health. Joining me now with more is clinical psychologist Dr. Carlos Garcia. Dr. Carlos, it's always so great to see you.
Good to see you.
So I think transparency just about the subject of mental health is so important. I mean, we really need to continue to break down the stigma. We've come a long way, but not far enough.
We sure have. And I think sometimes even just the verbiage that we're using around, right, the stigma, the mental health, therapy, right? Like, it just conjures up a lot of these kind of ideas that often people relate to with something negative. But you're absolutely right. We're making such great headway. I see so many beautiful people showing up on social media. There's just more advertising around it. We're doing a much better job of reducing the stigma and having people really show up and say, hey, look, this is something I struggle with, and I'm not going to hide it.
Yeah, and for so long, we did create a culture where they felt like they had to hide behind a mask and put one face forward, but really they were struggling. And just on a personal level, from losing people that I really care about because of suicide, especially a high-profile person that I used to work here with back in the day at Channel 8. His persona was big, it was grand, it was happy, it was this, but who he was behind the scenes were two very different things. And I think that tug of war is ultimately what led to his demise, because he felt like he couldn't be honest about what he was going through.
Yeah, a lot of us have a really hard time with this idea of coming out from behind the mask. And what I like to talk about is why we even put on that mask in the first place. For a lot of us, we grew up in environments or around messaging that told us that certain feelings weren't okay, right? That feeling guilty, shameful, sad, like that wasn't to be felt or experienced, right? Suck it up, put on a happy face. There's nothing to be sad about. And I think what that did for a lot of us was it sort of associated a lot of guilt and shame around negative emotions. So what did we do? We went out into the world and put on that mask. We didn't want people to see us from this vulnerable space. We didn't want people to see us when we were struggling. The truth is that we're all gonna struggle. We can agree to that. Life is hard at times. And so I think if we can start to acknowledge that the place where as humans we are most connected is in our struggle, then we don't have to be shameful, we don't have to wear that mask, and we kind of liberate ourselves to be authentic, to be real, and to be vulnerable about all of the aspects of ourselves.
And this is something that we've talked about as well, about social media, because I mean, I'm not putting my low moments on social media. I'm only putting my fun vacation time with the kids, all the things. So we really need to look at social media through that lens to understand that yes, some people do ask for prayer, some people do share what they're going through, but that can lead to a slippery slope if we start judging our lives and comparing them to other people's.
Totally, and I think you're saying the big piece there. It's judgment, right? It's our perception, it's our opinion of what we are consuming. And I've seen people that have shared really vulnerable things and come out and then have gotten comments or something like keep that stuff to yourself, right? And I think that's kind of what feeds this negative idea that it's not okay to show up in the world in our most authentic kind of way. But at the same time, social media is a place, probably the biggest contributor to having people feel seen and heard, right? Having other people show up. Like when I see somebody share something deeply vulnerable, I get in there and I drop a comment and I'm like, hey, how courageous, how inspiring, because that's hard for all of us to do, to show up with that level of vulnerability, right? I think more of us need to start doing that, just kind of maybe putting some of those low moments in there so that we can connect with that also. Yeah,
no doubt. And so, and you say, so we can connect with it. So what you're saying is, does some degree of vulnerability lead to connection?
I think that's the main thing that leads to connection for us, right? It's when we're being raw, it's when we're being real with each other. I don't want to just connect with the beautiful, awesome, amazing parts of you. It's when I know your struggle, it's when I know that you've been through hard things, that we start to have conversations that are much deeper, that are more filled with love, that are more filled with compassion. And that connects us as human beings, right? Knowing that we are together in something, not always joyous, but sometimes in the struggle as well.
And I think too, along the way, and I speak to this on a personal level, I've been through some pretty dark chapters in my life, and I think when you're vulnerable with people and you're honest, and those people are still standing by your side, that really tells you about their character. And then those who aren't there by your side, well, at the end of the day, you didn't need them anyways. Absolutely,
I totally agree. One of the things that I talk to a lot of the folks I work with is, people's opinions of you are more a projection of who they are than of who you are, right? And so if you can open up and start being vulnerable, start being more authentic, you're gonna find that you actually have more of that sort of caliber of person align with you and gravitate towards you. right? Because I've gotten to a place in my life where I don't want to put on that mask anymore. I want to connect with people that are real and raw and that we can sort of share in a conversation about our struggles, the things that are difficult and how we overcame. Because I think that's where people take the most hope from, is like, oh, I know that struggle. I've been there. I have felt that. And look, if this person can do it, then that means I can do it too.
Amen to that. Dr. Carlos, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to share Dr. Carlos's advice on bloomtampabay.com. And stick around. Tampa Bay's famous quadruplets are turning one, and you are invited to help them celebrate.
Yes, they truly are a miracle, and it's not a one-person show. It's been really the support of the community, the doctors.
There is no doubt time flies. It seems like just yesterday we introduced you to the newborn quadruplets, but now the famous Tolbert quads are 1 year old. We've been following these adorable children on social media, watching them grow up, and now they are gearing up for their first birthday party. Joining me now is quad mom Raquel Tolbert and the famous Tolbert quads. It is so great to see all of you.
Thank you for having us, as always.
I can't believe how big everybody's gotten. Kind of walk me through who's who again.
Okay, so we have Amaya, who's the princess of the house. We have Denzel, Bryson, and Royce.
And they are really doing well. It looks like they're growing up. I mean, for quadruplets, they're pretty big.
Yes, so considering they were 1 to 2 pounds when they were born, we're now at 15 to 20 pounds between the babies, and they truly are a miracle.
So hundreds of thousands of people follow your journey on social media. And I know you show us like all different facets of raising quadruplets, and you have an older son. So you have a full house of 5 children, and you say scheduling is key.
Yes, I mean, it's the only way I can survive. So it's about being organized, structured, and they sleep through the night. They're doing great. And we feed them at the same time. We change them at the same time. I mean, it truly is the only way I could do it.
So in addition to entertaining us and getting a bird's eye view of what this huge, challenging job is, you've also started a very important foundation to support other families going through high-risk births, like, quadruplets,
Right.
triplets, even twins.
Yes, I mean, it was very challenging because they weren't supposed to be here. The odds were not in their favor. When my water broke at 22 weeks, I had to be going to the hospital almost every week. And there's other moms who have to travel across the state to be and get surgery at that hospital. So it was important for me to be able to raise funds and support other moms who go through this.
So the quadruplets just celebrated their first birthday, but a big party is being planned to celebrate all of the people that supported you during your journey.
Yes, it's been very overwhelming, the love and support from the community. Their birthday party is being hosted by technically businesses from the Tampa Bay area. So the restaurants that are going to be donating the food, like Aussie Grill, the party's going to be at Lithia Acres. They also donated the venue. So it's really to celebrate everybody who has supported us through this journey.
And to a spotlight, because I remember the first time I got to meet the quad, you brought their doctor in, and you are also spotlighting the very important people that have made such a huge difference.
Yes, they truly are a miracle, and it's not a one-person show. It's been really the support of the community, the doctors, the friends who have helped us, and all the business who have supported us through this journey.
And talk to me about how we can follow you guys in the journey. I think it's so cool. I follow you, but I just want my Bloom viewers to know.
So yes, I do a lot of TikTok, YouTube. It's very important for me to be able to motivate and inspire other moms that I do get out of the house. I do take them to a doctor's appointment, and if I can do it, you can do it too. So I do TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, we're there.
What is the most challenging part about raising the quads?
I think giving one-on-one time for them, because they're quadruplets and there's 4 of them and there's 1 of me, I'm outnumbered. So it's very hard to spend that one-on-one time, but I'm very intentional about the time I do spend with them.
And I even watching them in studio, it's cute how they, one will grab the other's hand and they'll hold a hand, or they seem like they find comfort and solace in one another.
Yes, so they definitely have this thing where I can separate all 4 of them in their playpen, but they always end up on top of each other, so they definitely have a very close bond.
Do they each have their own individual personalities already?
Yes, so Amaya is definitely our loud girl. Denzel is our chill baby. I always say if all babies were like him, I would have had quintuplets. Bryson's also very calm, and Royce is definitely the baby that keeps me on my toes.
Who grew the fastest?
Bryson, he's our biggest miracle baby.
And who stood the first time?
Royce is definitely he's gonna be walking soon.
He'll be the one walking soon. Well, you guys are so cute. So is everybody invited to the big birthday party?
Yes, so we're allowing people to, everyone who in the community, everyone who has helped us, we just want to say thank you for the support and the love.
Well, I want to thank you for just being an inspiration, I think, to all moms. And we were talking, Raquel and I, earlier, that whether you have 1 kid or 4 kids, babies, I always did scheduling too. And you have these sleeping through the night. Yes. Everybody's on that seems to bring so much peace and harmony into someone's life.
Yes, any new moms, I always tell them, keeping them on the schedule is definitely going to be key to success.
All right, guys, I know we're going to blink and we're going to be seeing you guys in grade school here pretty soon. You guys look so cute. All right, we're going to share more about the foundation and how you can support moms with high-risk pregnancies, and of course the big birthday party on BloomTampaBay.com. And before we go to break, it is time for today's Bloom trivia question. True or false? Women who eat a lot of milk, cheese, and yogurt are more likely to have twin babies. We'll have the answer later on Bloom. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back. If you're going to drink alcohol, most health experts will tell you to do so in moderation, and what you drink also makes a big difference. Now there's a huge uptick in people drinking tequila because it's known to aid in digestion and regulate blood sugar, thanks to its natural agavins and antioxidants. Joining me now with the importance of understanding ingredients is the CEO and co-founder of Southbound Tequila, Ivy Childers. Ivy, it is so great to see you.
Thanks for having me back.
So I know, Ivy, that you went on a really long journey to find the perfect taste for a sipping tequila, and that's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And what you were saying about being particular about the ingredients was something that was really important to me in finding that right distillery and that partnership. And the process is so important. And that was really important for me in finding a tequila.
Now, how a tequila is made is directly related to how it makes you feel.
Yes, I say that over and over as I'm, really educating people on what Southbound is, because a tequila will never lie to you in the morning. It just won't. And I think that in the industry, what people don't understand is that there are so many ways to cut corners in the tequila production process, and it was really important to me that our distillery, in every single step of the way, did not rush the process. Everything is done to the highest quality, and it really starts with that blue agave, and that it's fully mature, because if you harvest it too early, you're going to have to cover up flaws in the end, and you may not know it when you're drinking it, but you'll feel it in the morning. And it's really important to me to feel good and put good things in my body.
And we've talked to you a lot in the past because you had this huge business in Nashville, Ivy Cakes, and you sold that, and you stepped into a man's world. I mean, you look at like George Clooney's tequila. I mean, that was a multi-billion-dollar deal. What was that like, trying to navigate that world?
Yeah, what's really cool, and I don't think I've shared this on a platform, but when I ventured out to find our distillery, number one goal was that Southbound would be an amazing tequila and a very meticulous profile that I was looking for that I couldn't find. None of the brands were speaking to me in the category. And so I really wanted to find that brand. And when I did, I happened to partner with a distillery that was female founded and led. And it's Celia Maestri, and she really champions women in the spirits industry. And I think that's really cool how that aligned, because what I really wanted to do was bring my point of view, and partnering with that distillery to find this perfect meticulous blend in Southbound allowed me to create a brand that was speaking to me, and therefore I get to speak it to other people as well from my point of view. There's so many brands out there, and I really am so grateful to have a brand that I feel like is really hitting the consumer. They're really getting it.
That's awesome. And then the other thing that I think is so great about what you do is that you educate people of how to mix this and get the best taste. I know from all of your days, making cakes and in a kitchen, ingredients, the mixture, the proportions, that's critical to you.
It is, because it's, you got to have a high quality premium spirit, the tequila. But the other ingredients matter too. So I really don't love, a cocktail that's too sugary or too tart. And I was finding when I would go out and I would, enjoy a cocktail, that I would always be thinking like, oh, I really want this to taste different. I want this to feel different. So I just spent a lot of my free time creating those recipes and then sharing them. And I think people can really taste the difference. And I know it's my palate, and everybody has a different palate, but that part is so important to me.
And it also, I think too, we're in a movement where people aren't drinking a lot.
Yes.
When you can craft these perfectly measured out cocktails, it's an experience, and it's not like you're just guzzling one, margarita or whatever after the next. You're actually drinking a good quality tequila, and then you're getting good quality ingredients that you're mixing it with.
Yeah, and I think people want that cleaner experience. I know you and I are, similar in that we value our health. We value what we put into our bodies and a healthy lifestyle. And I think that when you're going to indulge in something, you should go with the clearest intentions to pick the cleanest choice. And I think that is, Southbound Tequila is very committed to that cleaner for you option and how the tequila is made. And then I'm committed to making sure that those other ingredients, when you're enjoying a cocktail, I love very simple, pure ingredients. And I think that people are really getting on board with that.
And you take to social media, you're on YouTube, and you're going out to group settings, and you're actually showing people how to do this.
Yes, and it's been so much fun. I even hosted a cocktail class at a restaurant, and it was this beautiful experience. And just something about putting the shaker in your own hand, I don't think people are really doing that. It's kind of an intimidating thing is what I'm learning and hearing, and so it's really fun to kind of have that white space in a business like Southbound Tequila and engage with the consumer in a new way.
And we love it when you visit the Tampa area. I know you live in Nashville,
Yes.
but the people who believe in you and invest in you are here in the Tampa Bay area. You help with restaurant launches. So you're really out there, kind of boots on the ground, introducing yourself as a female leader in this industry.
And that's where I'm feeling a ton of support, and support from like you, Gayle, like letting me have a place to amplify my voice in the spirits industry is so important and valuable. And I'm feeling that too with meeting different hospitality group owners that are just like, we love the tequila, number one, but we love the person that is really got the heart and the passion behind bringing it to the consumer. And I see that coming together, and it's incredibly rewarding.
Well, I know everybody likes a good story. You like to know the person and, behind the story behind what you're buying into. So, Ivy, we always appreciate it when you come on Bloom.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to share Ivy's incredible career journey on BloomTampaBay.com. And we'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa.
Welcome back to Bloom. It's time for your window to the weekend, presented by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa. Master sculptors are working tirelessly to create incredible works of art out of sand. And this weekend is your chance to celebrate the 10th annual Pier 60 Sugar Sand Festival in Clearwater. This year's theme is Sands of Time. Joining me now to tell us more is founder Lisa Chandler. Lisa, it's great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So Lisa, I know when I first heard the name, I'm like, wait, do they use sugar to make these sculptures? And then I thought, no, it's our sand that looks like sugar.
For decades, people have referred to the consistency of our sand being sugar-like, but believe it or not, you're not the only person who asks. do we put sugar in the sand? But there is no sugar in the sand.
So I can't believe what goes into it. We have like this incredible video of the sculptors working, and you bring in the experts to bring this sand to a whole new dimension.
So we commissioned 16 master sculptors from Tampa Bay Sand Sculpting to build the Sugar Sand Walk exhibit. It's a 21,000 square foot art museum made out of sand and water.
And what goes into this? How long does it take them?
It's a 2-week build out to build the Sugar Sand Walk exhibit, and then during the 17-day run of the festival, we have what's called performance artists who are inside the tent sculpting every day so that visitors can see the sand being brought to life.
Can visitors learn themselves how to maybe do something?
Absolutely. Every day we have free sand sculpting classes by the master sculptors. They're at 2 p.m. and on Saturdays at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m.
And how is this received by the community?
I think it has been well received by the locals, but more importantly, Clearwater Beach is a world-class tourism destination. People travel from all over the United States to come visit Clearwater and our sugar sand beaches.
And the setup is really remarkable. I've been out there before. I mean, you get the opportunity to go out on the pier.
Yes.
There's all of these vendors out there. You feel like you're just part of the fabric.
So the Sunsets at Pier 60 Nightly Festival, that is the nightly year-round sunset celebration who puts on Sugar Sand Festival. We are a 501c3 arts organization.
So where does the money go that's raised?
So the monies go to multiple charities, mainly local Title I schools, but it also goes to pay for the year-round nightly sunset celebration.
Now, I know technically this festival should be celebrating its 12th anniversary, but COVID shut it down for 2 years.
That's correct.
Anything special planned for the Big Ten?
Oh, we have a lot of things planned this year. For the 10-year anniversary, we have a butterfly garden exhibit. It is free. It's open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday through Sunday. And on the last day, we have what's called Salsa and Bachata Day. People can come out, dance in the sand, take free dance lessons, and we will wrap up with a 9 p.m. fireworks celebration on the last night.
And the theme this year?
Theme is Sands of Time. It is a retrospective look back, a walk down memory lane. We've combined all 9 years of themes combined, and then we have some surprises for the 10-year anniversary.
That is really, really cool. So I know it's underway now. How do people get tickets?
Go to sugarsandfestival.com. You can either pre-purchase your ticket online or you can purchase it at the gate.
And so much, I mean, this is a family-friendly event.
It is extremely family-friendly. We have the Frenchies free beach concerts, fireworks, sand sculpting classes, there are amusements, live entertainment, everything for everyone.
And a chance for people to get up close and personal with some of the businesses in the area.
Absolutely. We want you in the restaurants, the hotels. It's just a great community event.
Yeah, it really is beautiful the way you guys, I know a lot of work goes into this. I mean, you said at least 2 weeks of a build out, but the build up to this incredible event happens long before then. So Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And the Sugar Sand Festival is now officially underway and runs through April 14th at Pier 60 in Clearwater Beach. We're going to put everything you need to know on bloomtampabay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa.
Child Abuse Prevention Month starts in April, and for generations now, an institution in Tampa has been a beacon of hope for abused, abandoned, and neglected children in our community. Joining me now with how you can support Friends of Joshua House Foundation are the chair of the upcoming Child Abuse Awareness Benefit, Dina Basiglio Sheridan, and the executive director of Joshua House, Dee Dee Grundy. Ladies, it's such a pleasure to see you both.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the child's statistics in our community. I mean, they're pretty staggering. It's a problem that people don't talk about, but it definitely exists.
It does, actually. You know, last year, 11,500 cases were investigated just in Hillsborough County. And Hillsborough County continues to rank first, you know, sliding back and forth with Miami-Dade, but we're ranking first in our state for cases of abuse.
And we have so many incredible organizations and nonprofits here in the Tampa Bay area, but for as long as I've been with Channel 8, which has now been 30 plus years, Joshua House has always been an institution that has been there standing, growing, and serving the needs of these children. So talk to me about what we can do to support your mission.
Well, starters, why don't we talk about the Child Abuse Awareness Benefit? That's the first thing, because we do launch the month with this benefit. Do you want to talk about that, Dina?
Absolutely. So I'm chairing that event this year. It's on April 11th at Armature Works. And the point really is inspiration and education about child abuse in our area, that it does continue to happen. It is scary. These children need us. And I think as a person who was kind of on the outside looking in, before I had kids, I did join the board. Now that I'm a mom, it makes such a different impact on me. And you don't realize how much of it's going on in neighborhoods right around us. And these kids need ongoing help. It's not like they get the help they need and they're off into the world succeeding. There's more right behind them. It's just ongoing. And that's why we need people to come to our event, help support us, and be ongoing supporters if they can be.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, like most parents with children, you look at your children, and I always feel like all I was put on the earth to do is to protect these beautiful children of mine, but so many children experience so much pain, emotional pain, physical pain. And Joshua House is set up in a way, it's a huge campus, has all the experts on ground. I mean, it's designed to help.
Exactly. It is a therapeutic community for foster children with complex traumas. So you can't say that any child that enters into foster care doesn't already have complex trauma. Nobody's making an easy decision to tear a family asunder and put this child into child welfare services. Nobody wants to do that. And when you do that, by then that child has already experienced so much that they have developed these complex traumas. So we are therapeutic. We have life enrichment activities that we wrap around them so that they can experience life skills and try new things, but it doesn't trigger them, because that's what we need to be careful of, is that we're trying to address this complex trauma, trying to stabilize them so that they do better in placements.
Ladies, thank you so much for sharing this wealth of knowledge with our viewers. Again, this is an institution that's been around for so long. If you want to show your support or attend the luncheon, we're going to put everything that you need to know on bloomtampabay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. It's time for today's Bloom trivia question. True or false? Women who eat a lot of milk, cheese, and yogurt are more likely to have twin babies. The answer is true. The Milk and Multiple Birth study came out in 2006. The study showed women are 5 times more likely to birth fraternal twins if they consume a lot of dairy products. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. And don't forget to check out our podcast, The Bloom Health Club. You can catch it live on Facebook and YouTube on Mondays at 2 p.m. We take a deep dive and have extended conversations with some of the top guests that we have right here on Bloom. Of course, you can stream episodes anytime on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We'll tell you about a mission in Tampa Bay to feed our seniors healthier foods. And we're making mocktails with the CEO and co-founder of Southbound Tequila. So stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by Renewal by Anderson of Tampa.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.